Budgets are defined for a specific chart of accounts and for a selection of 1 to 3 dimension views. Whether you enter for an account dimension or a pyramid depends on the setup of the budget. The budget entry window is used to enter the actual budget amounts. You enter budget information based on the settings defined for the budget code, including the dimension values. Budget amounts are entered using one of the following categories. Period, entered for a specific account and dimension for a date range. Account, entered for a specific account for a dimension range. Or dimension, entered for a specific dimension for an account range. Let's take a look at entering budget values in your system. Before we enter in our budget amounts, let's look at the budget entry transaction function to set up the budget entry screens. Notice on the budget entry transaction we have budget category. If you select by period, you will enter a date range for a selected account and dimension when entering in your budget. If you select account, you will enter in a dimension range and then pick the account number when you enter in your budget amount. If you select dimension, you will enter an account range and then enter in the budget amount for a specific dimension. You also can define columns of what you want to see, and you can create formulas. The formulas will be a simple formula. It can have a plus for addition, a minus for subtraction, a star for multiplication, and a / for division. You can then decide whether you want to total your columns and whether you want your columns to be displayed. Now that we have our entry transactions created, let's go enter in some budget amounts. To enter in budget amounts, select the Financials menu and select the Budget Entry function. Select your transaction entry screen. I'm going to go ahead and use the one for account. Enter in the budget that you want to enter in the amounts for, and enter in your company. Next, you'll select your budget version and you'll enter in your beginning and ending date. I'll do mine for the fiscal year of 2016. Next, you're going to enter in your dimension range. I'll select all my dimension values, so I'll put in my full range, and then click OK. Here you'll now enter in your account number that you want to enter in your budget amount for. I will select my sales revenue. And then in the grid below, you will enter in the budget amount for each dimension type. Once you have your amounts entered in, you go ahead and click Save, and then close your page. This has entered in your budget amounts. In this lesson, you have learned that budgets are defined for a specific chart of accounts and for a selection of 1 to 3 dimension views. The budget entry window is used to enter the actual budget amounts by using one of the following categories. Period, entered for a specific account and dimension for a date range. Account, entered for a specific account for a dimension range. Or dimension, entered for a specific dimension for an account range.